Today's a sad day in America. As you can see, the Supreme Court overturns Roe V Wade, which is a huge loss for women's reproductive rights and also freedom. The supposed Supreme Court is supposed to be the smartest court in the land, but unfortunately, they haven't learned from the past. They haven't learned from history. We've seen in the past, whenever you outlaw something, it essentially pushes it underground or to the black market and makes it unsafe for everyone, whether that's prohibition, which led to the rise of the mafia growing, and also unsafe alcohol, or even now with the war on drugs and how we've seen fentanyl become a huge problem in America. It's not going to make the situation any safer. It's going to make it less dangerous. And it's a huge disappointment. You look at how supposedly we care so much about the life of human beings, but yet in America we let people starve. We let people be homeless. We let people struggle to pay medical bills or not have coverage at all. We do not care about life in any way. Pro-life is a lie. To say that you are pro-life means that you would be against wars, you'd be against the death penalty, you would be for the lives of anyone. But realistically, they are just anti-abortion. They do not care about your life once you are born. They never have, never will. They're willing to sacrifice your life or just do not care for their own gain. To them, it is mostly probably a religious ideology that shows that they just want people to be born. They don't care whether or not the child in any way has a decent life to live, decent parents. They don't care about those that are already in adoption homes, foster cares that nobody wants, which is hundreds of thousands of kids. They just don't care. And to see this as a political victory, it's a loss for everyone. To overturn precedent sets a new precedent that pretty much says the Supreme Court could do whatever they want. And that is a scary slope to go down. And I know liberals and all that shit libs will say vote Democrat in November. What we've seen in the past 50 years, Democrats haven't done anything about it. They had the ability to codify it into law. They did not. And it sets a scary future to think of. And it kind of makes me realize that today's generation, if we were alive during the Revolutionary War times, we would be the 50 colonies, like 50 British colonies today. The fact that Democrats right now are calling for people to be, peacefully protest whenever women's rights were just taken away, is disgusting. It is a disappointment. America should in no way be a leader in anything. If you're another country, you should laugh at America because we are a joke. We don't learn from the past. We don't progress in any way. We continue to stay in the same place and lose out on everything. And it's just a real disappointment. I myself, I don't care if they got an abortion as long as it's reasonable. Like if it's before the 24-week thing or whatever science says, that's fine, go for it. I mean, there was ways to make it reasonable, but to outright ban it and let the states decide, we already know what's going to happen. Democratic states, abortion's probably still going to be around. Republican states, it'll most likely be banned. And we're going to see coat hanger abortions again. We're going to see people getting pushed down steps. It's the same logic behind, whenever they did prohibition how, oh yeah, if we ban alcohol, people are going to stop it. No, it led to the rise of the mafia, and it just created a situation that is worse for everyone. You look at today's war on drugs, the wrong position is what we are doing right now. It is pushing heroin and other drugs onto the black market. Therefore, fentanyl is becoming a huge problem. People are dying from it, people are overdosing. And overall, you should always want to put the person's best well being at the forefront. You should want the best possible situation, not creating an extra or another problem from it, which is what we're going to see. We're going to see in Republican states people doing the back alleyway abortions again. We're going to see people, possibly going to jail over this stuff. And that's just wrong. That's a disappointment in America. To say we are a country that is a world leader, it's a joke. We are a joke. A world leader would look to better the lives of the people, not bring them backwards in time. And it's a bad outcome. It sets a bad precedent going forward, especially now that they're talking to possibly overturning contraception and also looking at gay marriage again. It just sets a bad precedent. And if they want to take, I hate to rain on their parade, but if they want to take the Constitution in a literal way, you look at the Second Amendment, firearms would only be like muskets and all that. It is open for interpretation. It is vague to the point where you're able to add on it later on, because whenever they wrote it, they realized that people progress, society progresses. In America, what we're doing is we are regressing as a nation. We're actually an embarrassment. There's other countries out there that, they're not in any way perfect, but they're a hell of a lot better than we are right now. And it's both parties are a huge failure. Both parties are the problem. Democrat, Republican, both are controlled by big donor money. Both will sell out, and both do not care about your rights. They do not care. They would sacrifice your rights if it would benefit them in any way. And that is what we are seeing with Roe v Wade being overturned. And to argue that it is a state's right to choose after yesterday ruling that open carry is not allowed to be determined by states is just it contradicts your own belief. It's the argument they use also on the Second Amendment, which I'm not in favor of banning guns. I don't think it would work. But to say that if we ban guns, the criminals and all that will still be able to get them, why aren't you taking that logic and applying it to this? Why would you want it to make it as unsafe as possible for a woman to go about getting an abortion? Why would you want to make it more difficult? And like I said, they don't actually care about the life of the fetus. They don't care. Once you are born, they do not care. They'll tell you to fuck off. If you can't eat, that sucks. If you can't live, that sucks. If you're sick, that sucks. They just don't care. It is 100% an embarrassment to the rest of the world. What we are going through as a nation, it's just a disappointment. It shows me the same, like, how they always say, why do the younger generation hate capitalism? Why do they not like America? And it's quite apparent. We've been alive I think my generation is the last one to not be alive. Like our whole life, we weren't at war. But younger generations, they've been at war throughout their whole life. They see how capitalism is exploiting Americans. It's just greed and all that. It's a disappointment to hear that they are overturning a precedent that was set 50 years ago that a woman had the right to an abortion. Yes, you can make it where it is safer for them, it is more regulated and all that, but to outright ban it is just ridiculous. It's an embarrassment. Like I said, it shows that America on the world stage, we should not be taken seriously. And those that argue that like vote blue in November and all that, they ain't gonna do anything about it. All they have to do now is end the filibuster and codify it into law. But they're not going to. They have no strength behind them. They have no willpower. They don't care. But they're going to email you to, donate that money to them. And like I said, if this generation and the people of America today were back alive in the 1776, 75, all that, we would be the 50 British colonies. Right now, this is a time where the American people have to take it in their own hands. Because both parties, we already see the right, they don't care, but the Democrats are too weak to do anything about it. So it's a point where we have to take it into our own hands, and we have to start voting third party. We have to get out there and march. We have to make sure that we get rid of the duopoly in America. That is the only way America will make any progress in the upcoming years. And it's just a shame because there's multiple aspects of life that we as a nation just fail on. And we take pride in being, we are the world leader in what? It's a real disappointment. We don't bring anything to the table. We just exploit people. We just fail people. We go backwards in time. We don't learn on anything. And it's just a real embarrassing time for everyone. And going forward, you definitely have to be somewhat concerned that your rights might be taken away even more. Whether that's, gay marriage or contraception or whatever. And realistically, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be. And we look at things like this. It was just, you kind of grew up thinking, oh yeah, Roe V Wade, it was already established. They're not going to take it away. And then bam, they just did. So it's really a huge problem that we're going to have to look after and see what happens next. I just hope that we learn a lesson as a country and we stop, donating to Democrats who, saying God bless America while this happened. A real insult to every female and male that, because now you end up having a kid as a male. That's the one thing they don't talk about is females. They already have it. If you're raped, you have to carry the child. If, you're a part of incest, they have to carry the child. If it's a threat to your own health, you have to carry the child. But they don't look at it also. The male aspect of it is they are going to be affected. You're going to have unwanted children. You already have deadbeat fathers out there. You're going to have more of them because they're going to get some lady pregnant and she's going to have to carry it to term. And you're going to create a society that is so backwards, and it's going to be prohibition, not necessarily prohibition, but it's going to have the same effects as prohibition. You're going to see a society that is worse off because of it. And I'm hoping that we learn from it, but we're not going to. Once again, America, we're not bright. Let's just say it how it is. We are not bright as a country. We are inherently, best way to put it is we have low IQs. We have people that should not be voting. We have people who literally thought an election was stolen and who still think an election is stolen. who, say liberals, oh, they're beta males as they, sniff Donald Trump's farts and shit. But you're going to see hell break loose, Your rights are going to be definitely possibly taken away even more after this, and it sets a very bad precedent. No, I wish Democrats had a backbone. They don't. But, you better vote for them. You better donate to them. Not really, because they're not going to do anything, even if they had a super majority. But once again, we could learn from this and say we got to vote third party. We got to start, taking our own action. We have to take our own future into our own hands. And it's disappointing that, we did try to effectively vote people in to the Democratic Party to give them a backbone, but they've been pretty much frauds this whole time. So going forward, it's definitely going to be a huge issue to watch. And I hope we as a society take it into our own hands, kind of. Now, I'm not saying do what I like, create total chaos or whatever, but we're going to have to start, putting our own lives in our own hands. It's the only way that as a country we're going to move forward. We have to start holding those in power accountable. And we as a country, other countries, their politicians fear the people. In America, the people fear the politicians. And that is not how it should be. The politicians in America should fear the American people. Instead, they are bought by corporations, they're bought by rich people, and we, the American people, lose in every turn. And that is why a Princeton study pretty much shown that we effectively are an oligarchy. We're not a democracy. Our government's representatives do not represent us in any way. They represent those who have money and power. And I'm hoping going forward we could learn from it.